Well, good morning, everybody. We're just waiting for a few of the attendees to continue to pile in here. But good morning. I'm Tyler Gray, Assistant Athletic Director for External Affairs at St. Thomas. Certainly want to welcome all of you and thank you for joining us this morning. As much as we would have loved to celebrate on campus and been in person, the times call for something different. So also thank you for all of your flexibility and your willingness to work with us here. I will say that for you media members, this is likely not your first virtual press conference. It is ours, however. So I'm just going to ask that you have some patience with us, and we'll make sure that we get to all the questions as we are able. Yesterday was a historic day for the University of St. Thomas, as the NCAA did approve our waiver to reclassify directly from Division III to Division I. Big day, big news for us. And we are happy that we will be joining the Summit League for 19 of our varsity sports, as well as the Pioneer Football League and the WCHA Women's League coming up in the 2021-22 season. With that, I'll just go through kind of the run of what's going to happen here. We are going to have statements from 5 individuals. We'll begin with the president from the University of St. Thomas, Dr. Julie Sullivan. We will then move into the vice president and director of athletics at St. Thomas, Phil Eston, followed by the commissioner of the Summit League, Tom Duple, the commissioner of the Pioneer Football League, Patty Viverito, and the commissioner of the WCHA Women's League, Jen Flowers. When we are done with those statements, we will open it up for a Q&A. We will ask that each of you media members who have questions, please do raise your hand. There's a function at the bottom of the screen. There is a button that does say raise hand. We will make sure that we get to your questions. We're going to do our best to make sure that we go in order of those of you who have raised your hand and are going to ask the question. And we'll get to that after these statements. But for now, it's my pleasure to turn it over to University of St. Thomas President, Dr. Julie Sullivan. President Sullivan.
Thank you, Tyler. Good morning, everyone. Really thrilled to be here with you this morning. I want to thank you for attending. This is truly an exciting day for the University of St. Thomas. I can't tell you, it's been a long time coming. I recall the first moment when I even realized that it might be feasible for the University of St. Thomas to move to Division I. And it's a moment I will never forget in my entire lifetime. I was traveling with my husband, and he had lived in Africa for many years earlier in his life and had wanted to return. And at that moment, we were actually in Botswana. And we returned to our room after lunch, and I had an email from Phil. And it was almost 1 year to today. It was July 17th, 2019. And in that email, Phil said he had just hung up from talking to Tom Duple, and that Tom, after consultation with a few of the leaders at the NCAA, thought there could be a path for the Summit League to consider St. Thomas and for St. Thomas to consider the Summit League. And up until that moment, I really did not hold out any hope that that path was even a possibility. And I'll recall my husband, I was running around the room shouting with glee, and he was like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And it's just a moment of excitement I will never forget. And it's been a long year since then, but it's been worth every moment of it. I'm so grateful to Tom for initiating us even considering this possibility. And I'm so grateful to our Board of Trustees, our chair, Pat Ryan, and all of our board for really making the bold decision to do this. This is the right thing at the right time for St. Thomas. It's consistent with our history, and it's consistent with our future. If you just look at the last 2 decades at the university, we've opened a law school, we've created a school of engineering, we've launched the Doherty Family College. We've formed the Morrison Family College of Health. And now in 2021, we'll move to Division I and join the Summit League, the Pioneer Football League, and the WCHA. Why is it the right thing at the right time? It's consistent with our trajectory, and it puts us in line with our Catholic peers across the country, the Catholic universities across the country with which we benchmark ourselves. Like us, they have strong liberal arts foundations. They have a breadth of professional schools, strong missions analogous to our mission of advancing the common good, and they all play in Division I athletics. Division I athletics broadens the platform to tell your story. It broadens the impact of your mission. And that's exactly how we plan to use it, to tell our story of academic excellence, of athletic excellence, and of our mission of advancing the common good. So this is not a decision about next year or even the year after. It's really a 10, 20, 30-year decision for St. Thomas. It's a signal of our ambitions and the ambitious journey we're on. And it's a signal of the continued future trajectory and how we plan for our university to continue to flourish and be successful. So I want to thank everyone who helped us make this happen. And I'd now like to turn it over to our athletic director, Phil Eston.
Well, thanks, President Sullivan. I appreciate it. And, you know, there really are not enough adjectives, frankly, to describe the feeling yesterday and the feeling we're all feeling today. It was just really an exciting day for our university, but it was a long day. And I want to share something with you. You know, I returned home around 8 o'clock last night and found this. I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me. We'll figure this out. Found this posted to the interior garage door. If you can all see that, my kids had posted a congratulations. And you know, I think, first of all, for me, it adds a little perspective. But secondly, if you can see my mouse, my kids are on brand here with the D1. And so I hope you can all appreciate that. I know I did. It was really a great day for us, a day of celebration and a day of thanks. You know, I had heard from so many people yesterday offering congratulations and embracing the opportunity to celebrate our news. And, you know, we have a lot of important work to do to make the transition, but not more important than the work that we're all doing to combat systemic racism and social injustice, which will continue to be a top priority for St. Thomas. And secondly, we'll continue to work to find a way to safely bring our student athletes back to campus this fall. We need to find a way to engage in athletics with the health and well-being of our student athletes as a top priority. And so that we will not waver from either of those. You know, I feel like it's my responsibility to offer and extend a couple of thanks and points of gratitude. And so first, President Sullivan, the Board of Trustees chaired by Pat Ryan, for their vision and courage to make this decision, one that I personally believe firmly aligns with the broader institutional goals, and I think it will offer great return for the university. Of course, Commissioner Duple, Tom was the first to step up and say, hey, we want St. Thomas to be part of our future. There's been an awful lot of amount of work that's been done to get us to where we are today, and we would not be here without Tom's support and his guidance throughout the way. Of course, also President Bresciani at North Dakota State University and Justin Sell, the AD at South Dakota State University, have both also been actively and vocally supportive of our candidacy and reclassification efforts. Appreciate that. Commissioners Patty Viverito with the Pioneer Football League and Jennifer Flowers with the Women's WCHA for working with their conference leadership and advancing invitations to help solidify and really demonstrate broader broader Division I interest in the University of St. Thomas. Be remiss if we didn't also acknowledge and thank NCAA leadership from Kevin Lennon and Troy Arthur, to Rick George, the AD at Colorado, who's the chair of the Strategic Vision and Planning Committee, and the entire Division I Council for their support yesterday in the affirmative vote. And then, you know, lastly, our Athletics Advisory Committee. We assembled a group last summer to both assess our options and advance thoughts and advice around our next steps. I think that there's been just a fantastic collaborative spirit on campus, and I can tell you, for one, I'm really excited to partner with other academic units and support units on campus during this transition. So as I said earlier, yesterday was an extremely gratifying day as it brought all of the hard work of so many together in this historic decision. And now some of the real heavy lifting starts. I've said this before, we have some of the best coaches in the country, I believe, at any level. And they've built their success around a strong culture, aligned with university principles and convictions, while seeking, of course, to provide a first-class experience for our student athletes, all of our student athletes. And this is a journey. We're going into this with our eyes wide open, but we'll continue to prioritize comprehensive excellence, classroom, community, character, and of course in competition, while paying particular attention to the culture and that holistic experience for our student athletes. I also want to acknowledge our colleagues in the MIAC, the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, a conference that served as our home for a century. We've enjoyed the rivalries and competition and collaboration for the last 100 years, and look forward to celebrating that throughout the next year, the year that we have to come. And we have an extremely proud past, built on the work of so many who've come before us, and I believe we have an equally as bright, if not even brighter, future as we lay this foundation for the next 100 years. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Commissioner Tom Duple, representing the Summit League. Tom, of course, I thank you for all of your support and guidance through this, and the screen is yours, Tom.
Thank you. It's great to be here on campus today. First and foremost, I want to thank the faculty and staff for creating an academic profile of this university, which is phenomenal. The educational efforts of the faculty, both past and present, have laid a solid foundation, which is the main reason we started to look at the university as a possible member. So they're to be congratulated for creating such a great academic profile. And thank you to the student athletes, both past and present, for creating a culture of success. It's through your efforts and hard work, both academically and athletically, that's laid the foundation which this department will be able to grow upon. And thank you to the coaches and the athletic staff. You know, both the past and the present have worked so hard to help create that culture of success. You're to be congratulated. You know, when I first met the board chair, Pat Ryan, the president Sullivan, and athletic director Phil Essen, I told them that this effort moving from D3 to Division I and getting approval to the NCAA has never been done before, and it's going to be a heavy lift. Unfortunately, and much to my chagrin, it was a heavy lift. And the hardest thing in athletics that you can have and find is patience. And everyone had patience, and finally got this done. You know, this move is a bold move. It's an aggressive move, and will be the foundation of the future, and it will require everyone working together to reach the summit. You know, there's one word to describe this, to describe the board chair, the president, and athletic director. One word, and that one word is simply leadership. Leadership to transform this university and lead it to the future. You have great leadership here at St. Thomas, and you're to be congratulated for that. You know, I want to acknowledge everything that Phil has done throughout this process, and it's been a long process. All the phone calls and the letters and the guidance and everything that Phil and his staff has done to prepare for this day, they are be congratulated, and thank you for your hard work. I want to thank the Mayor Carter of St. Paul for his letter of support. You now have a Division I program in your city. And obviously it's the only second one in the entire state of Minnesota. The NCAA staff and folks on the NCAA committee, through all their hard work, has led us here today. A special thank you, as Phil had mentioned, you know, our Division I council member, Justin Sell, the athletic director at South Dakota State, so helpful. He had a seat at the table at the Division I council. Dr. Dean Bershani is our board rep. He's done such a great job and been an advocate of this as well. Throughout this process, I remain committed to get this accomplished, and our President's Council never wavered throughout this whole long process. It's been incredible the support that they have given St. Thomas and also our office. I also want to acknowledge the staff at the Summit League, who's probably sitting in our brand new conference room looking at this webinar. And thank you for all your support, and especially want to thank the Deputy Commissioner, Minnie K. Larson. You've always been there for me, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. We're extremely excited to add St. Thomas to our league beginning the fall of 2021. We have 40,000 alumni from the Summit League schools that live in the Twin Cities. We hope to engage them in the future. It's going to be exciting when we have visiting teams come in. They'll be able to come over and we hope to start some synergy among that group as well. Today we celebrate this occasion. Tomorrow we begin the work on the transition. Will this be easy? No. But with the leadership that's in place, we believe definitely we're headed in the right direction. So I call upon the 110,000 Tommy alumni and friends of the university. Now is the time, get on board and reach the summit as we ever press forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Duple. We'll now turn to the Commissioner of the Pioneer Football League, Patty Viverito. Patty, the screen is yours.
Thank you. I think back to the first time I heard about St. Thomas. I wasn't sure back then if it was even in Florida or Minnesota, but I read with great curiosity the story about this Division III school that was too good and it was going to get kicked out of its league. And I thought, well, isn't that strange? Didn't know what it had to do with me, but I thought it was an interesting story. And then 9 months ago, I got a phone call from the people at St. Thomas wanting to explore interest in the Pioneer Football League. That was about 9 months ago. And St. Thomas was just a twinkle in the Pioneer Football League's eye back then. But the next 3 months got really interesting. I refer to that as the first trimester. It was filled with anticipation, and we quietly planned for the possible arrival of a new member. The second trimester got really interesting. It was filled with challenges, but we stayed the course. And what I would describe as the next 3 months, the last trimester, as the longest 3 months imaginable. There were times when I wondered if we were ever going to have a positive outcome, and it was with great trepidation that we lived through those last 3 months. Overall, this was 9 months of speculation, discomfort, and pain. But just like a birth, once it happens, you forget all of that, and it's nothing but joyous. And so the NCAA just yesterday helped deliver the most helpful outcome. And I'm so excited to be here today to announce the addition of our newest member of the Pioneer Football League family, St. Thomas University. I feel like I should be handing out cigars rather than congratulations. And I will add just one further detail. The baptism will be scheduled next fall, and you'll all be invited to that as well. So just to sort of explain the fit and why this makes so much sense for the Pioneer Football League, this is a league that was established in 1992 as a Division I non-scholarship football conference. The only other one that meets that criteria is the Ivy League. From the league's inceptions, it's been dedicated to the enhancement and sound management of football using this non-scholarship model. And it adopted the moniker of Pioneer based on its intent to lead the way for other institutions to adopt this model. We were 9 members this coming year, and we'll be 11 members when both St. Thomas and Presbyterian join the league. As testament to our fit and why we belong at Division I and the FCS level, even though we're non-scholarship, is that we've been awarded automatic qualification into the football playoffs, the FCS playoffs. That started in 2013. And not only have we participated in that event, we've proven we belong by winning games in those playoffs. And so we know that St. Thomas fits perfectly within both the philosophy and the competitiveness in this league, and you're going to be a terrific 11th member. So welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Viverito. At this point, we'll have our final statement, and we'll head to the Commissioner of the WCHA Women's League, Jen Flowers. Commissioner Flowers, the screen is yours.
Thanks, Tyler, and congratulations to both Patty and to Tom on the exciting news for their conferences. Today is a very exciting day for the WCHA. The Premier League in women's college hockey is getting even stronger. We are thrilled to welcome the University of St. Thomas to the league in 2021. We want to commend St. Thomas and their leadership and their board for their diligence throughout this process and for chasing history. And I want to thank our membership for the same, for being so patient and so willing and so excited to bring St. Thomas into the WCHA. St. Thomas is historically high achieving, both academically and athletically. They become our first private school to join the WCHA and will enter in 2021-22 as one of the most prominent private schools in the upper Midwest. We are very proud to further diversify our league and be the home for Tommy women's hockey. Returning the WCHA to an 8-member league has been a priority. It's been no secret. We believe strongly that St. Thomas is an outstanding fit on and off the ice, and their addition will broaden our passionate fan base and solidify our regional footprint. In closing, I want to personally congratulate and recognize President Julie Sullivan and Director of Athletics, Dr. Phil Eston, for your leadership in guiding St. Thomas through this absolutely uncharted territory that has culminated in today's historic announcement. And I want to thank you, Tom Duple, for your patience and your persistence and for getting the ball rolling, because I think we're all going to benefit strongly. St. Thomas will be an amazing addition to the WCHA, and we're very, very excited. Thanks, Tyler.
Well, thanks so much to all 5 of you for your statements and your thoughts. At this point, we are going to open it up for questions. A quick reminder, if you do have a question, please do raise your hand utilizing the raise hand button on the bottom of your toolbar. I will then make sure that your mic is unmuted and that you will have the availability to ask your question via audio. We are going to ask that you please do direct your question to who you would like to answer it. We'll make sure that that's very clear for our answerers, I guess I'll say. And with that, we'll open it up. I should mention also, we will allow one follow-up as well. So your question, please direct it to who you would like to answer it, and then we'll also allow a follow-up as well. Okay, with that, we'll open it up. Jace Frederick from the St. Paul Pioneer Press. Jace, go ahead, your mic is open.
I guess I'll start with Phil. Phil, can you kind of just go through each conference and explain why that was the best fit? I mean, obviously the Summit for the large group of programs, but then Women's Hockey for WCHA and Pioneer League for football.
Sure, Jace. You know, first I'll start with the Summit League, and when you look at the trajectory, frankly, of the Summit League, I think it kind of mirrors similar to the trajectory the University of St. Thomas has been on. It's an upwards mobility trajectory. That's a conference that's grown competitively over the last several years under the leadership of Commissioner Duple. They've got fantastic coaches and administrators in that conference. And then I'll also say from a geographic footprint, it makes a lot of sense for us as well. And so a lot of like-minded institutions who are pursuing excellence, not just in athletics, but across the university. And then again, geographically, it makes a lot of sense. With the Pioneer Football League also, as Patty mentioned, there are only 2 football conferences in the country that offer Division I competitive football at the non-scholarship level. That's the Ivy League and the Pioneer Football League, and I like the company we're keeping there. It certainly allows us to pursue the extension of our brand and our reach more geographically beyond a regional footprint. That's really an intentional outcome of this move. And so we'll be in markets like Southern California and New York and Florida and many, many others that are important to us across the country. And also like-minded and similar profiled institutions. And then with the WCHA, I'll tell you, Jen mentioned this, there's not another conference in the country that's as competitive and has been as successful as the WCHA. So to be able to line up against every weekend the likes of Minnesota and Wisconsin and Ohio State, not to mention Duluth and St. Cloud and Bemidji and Mankato, those are the most storied hockey programs in the country. And for us to have the ability to compete with them every single weekend, it was something that was just, it was a perfect fit for us. So Jace, I don't know that there's really a question as to whether or not those 3 conferences were the right fit for us at this time.
And Tom, you did a lot of heavy lifting on this, I know, and like mentioned here from kind of the outset. What do you think, after getting all this done and all the time and resources you put into this, what is the payoff going to be for the Summit League to add a program like this?
Well, it's a great fit as a university, athletically and academically. For us, it gets us 10 members. The other thing, it really gets 7 of our members within driving distance of the university, and that's really important for us, especially with the limited number of Division I universities in the upper Midwest. So is a real key for us to be able to do that.
Thank you, Jace. I will mention as well, media members, if you would like to ask more than just your one question and follow-up, please do re-raise your hand. We're just going to make sure that we only do one follow-up to keep it moving for right now. But you're certainly more than welcome to ask more than just those two. At this point, we'll turn it over to Megan Ryan from the Star Tribune. Megan, your mic is live.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for doing this. I've got a question for either Julie or Phil. But I think Julie mentioned in her statement that, this is the right time to do this. And I'm curious just to know more about that because obviously the economic situation that, everyone is in, but specifically that college sports is in right now. We're seeing a lot of D-run programs that are kind of hemorrhaging money and grappling with cutting programs. And I'm curious, did that affect your decision at all? Or when the pandemic happened, did you ever reconsider maybe this isn't the right time to do this? Maybe we should delay or postpone? I guess I'm kind of curious what went into that decision that made you want to still push through and do this despite kind of everything that's going on.
I'll start on that and then let Phil respond as well. Megan, it's a great question. And, clearly we all hope that COVID-19 is something that we obviously are dealing with now and are likely to deal with over the next 12 months, but it's not a 10 or 20 year situation. And this decision is really about the long-term future of St. Thomas. And this opportunity might not be here for St. Thomas in another year, 2 or 3 years. The opportunity is here for us now. And so knowing that we have the firm belief that it is the right long-term decision for us, then we just have to pace the transition and pace the investment such that we don't compromise any of our other priorities, particularly our academic programs. And Phil and I had some long discussions about that along with our board, and we feel like we're in a good place with that. So Phil, I don't know if you had anything else to add.
Thanks, President Sullivan. I'll just add to that we have the benefit for the next year of continuing to compete at the Division III level. And so our infrastructure and athletic department will be a Division III athletic department for another year as we prepare to make this transition. It also gives us, I think, the opportunity to watch the landscape in Division I athletics and how it does somewhat settle perhaps over the next 12 months. And while some might be making some adjustments, could be in staffing, could be programmatically, could be in other areas, it just means that our expansion or growth or whatever might look a little bit different over time, but we do have the ability and the luxury to watch as the landscape kind of shifts over the next 12 months, Megan. And so I do think that we're in a little bit different situation than having to make that move immediately. We've got the next 12 years to prepare, or 12 months, excuse me, to prepare for that.
Sure. And then just as a follow-up, Phil, I know you guys have those 22 varsity sports, and obviously there are other college programs that have been cutting sports at this time. Do you anticipate, moving all of those to D1 with you, or would that even be a conversation of having to cut sports at some point in time?
Yeah, Megan, as we watch the landscape shift, we have seen a couple of other universities reduce their sport portfolio. Many of those universities had been contemplating that prior to the pandemic, and I think the pandemic has given them maybe a little bit of courage to move forward with that. And all of us are continuing to evaluate all of our portfolio, whether it's sports or staff or whatever it is. At the moment, we're proceeding with all 22 of our sports, and all 22 of our sports are important to us. Those student athletes are important to us. And so that's where we are at the moment.
Thank you, Megan. We'll now move to Jess Myers. Jess, your mic is now live.
Thank you. I have two questions related to the men's hockey program for Dr. Eston, and they're essentially the same question. Where are you going to play, and where are you going to play? And by that, I mean your conference and your arena. Tell me about that. I know you've been had some conversations with Don Lucia from the CCHA, for example. Has there been an invite extended there or anything like that? And then what are you looking at facility-wise?
Yeah, thanks, Jess. Coach Tucci and I go back a number of years as we worked together at the University of Minnesota when I was there several years ago. So I've known Don for a long time. I've kept in touch with Don. I'm thrilled for him and his opportunity with the CCHA. And we'll say that as we sit and watch the landscape of men's hockey also shift a little bit, have had conversations with the several people in Division I hockey, and Don's among them, along with several others. I think it's important to note that as we look for the right fit from a conference standpoint, it's not simply our decision to make. We do need to seek and secure an invitation, as we've done with the Summit League and the Pioneer Football League and the Women's WCHA, and that doesn't happen overnight. And so I'll say that we've begun conversations in certain areas. Those conversations will continue to develop, and when we have something that we feel is solidified and something to share, we'll certainly share that. And we know that time is of the essence with that. And so we're having those conversations here pretty diligently. With regards to our facility, the St. Thomas Academy has been really a fantastic partner for us for a while. It's a great facility, has served as home for our 2 hockey programs for some time. And that's where we'll continue to compete in the short term as we look at our options. From a facility standpoint, right now, there isn't anything that requires us to do anything further than what we're doing, although we'll certainly take a look at student-athlete amenities from a recruiting standpoint and from an experience standpoint, fan amenities, as well as the revenue opportunities that exist in those venues as well. And we'll have to assess where that kind of plays out over time, Jess.
As a quick follow-up, I note in your bio, you were at Penn State in the very early stages of what has become a very successful Division I hockey program there. Were you involved in hockey there, and what did you kind of learn from growing and kind of premiering a new college hockey program?
Yeah, when I arrived, the Pagula Ice Arena had already been built. Both of our men's and women's hockey coaches had already been hired, and they had started the program. I had arrived in the first year of Division I hockey there. They had a very successful club programs on both sides in the past. And I'd say, Coach Godowski in particular has really excelled on the men's side there. And I believe, as I believe it is here, it's been based on culture. He's recruited and really built his programs around who he feels are the right type of people that comprise his culture. And he does not waver from what he feels are important tenets within that culture. And I think that commitment to the culture is really what's led to the success there. And so for us, I think we need to keep our eye on the same thing as we make the transition.
Thank you, Jess. At this point, we will go to Joe Schmidt. Joe, your mic is now live.
All right. Phil, my question is, you mentioned amenities for recruiting. How are you not going to get caught up in an arms race, and how much bigger is your budget going to be going from D3 to D1?
Yeah, Joe, from a recruiting standpoint, there are a lot of things that go into recruiting a student athlete. And very interestingly, when you look at the data that provides us kind of a glimpse into how student athletes and prospective student athletes make decisions. Facilities aren't number one, nor are they even really in the top 3. They're important, but they're looking at an academic profile. They're looking at what the team culture is and who the coach is, and they're looking at what life after the university is going to look like for them. And in some sports, that's life after the university in professional sports. And for some student athletes, for many of them, the vast majority of them, it's life after the university professionally in something other than sport. And so we feel as if, as we put together our case for recruiting student athletes, we've got a pretty good profile with which to work. Without a doubt, facilities are going to play a role in that. But also remember, we're going to be recruiting against our peers, and our peers in the Summit League, our peers, as President Sullivan had mentioned, Catholic institutions across the country do not necessarily operate at the Power 5 level. They operate at a different level than that. And so that's really the peer set and the institutions that we'll be comparing ourselves with.
And budget-wise, what percentage? I mean, I don't know if you have numbers or not yet, but just what do you expect that budget to look like?
Sure, Joe. We're continuing to model what that's going to look like over time. I'll say The Equity and Athletics Disclosures Act allows budgets to be presented across all of college athletics. In 2018, the average Summit League budget was about $20 million. If that gives you a sense for what the peers in the league are kind of targeting. And of course that changes with universities, and it's different based on sport portfolio, et cetera. But we're modeling what we feel is the right size for St. Thomas. And we haven't landed on anything specifically yet. Of course, that model changes over time based on COVID, based on other industry and marketplace conditions. And so that's kind of what we're using, one of the things that we're using as a guidepost.
Thank you, Joe. We'll now move over to Dawn Mitchell. Dawn, your mic is now live.
Does Dawn need to unmute?
Yeah, Dawn, I was just going to say, I'm giving you permission to speak. If you see the pop-up, you should. Okay, very good.
Sorry, I thought I hit it and then it came back. Sorry about that. My question is for Patty. Patty, you had mentioned that the last 3 months of this gestation period was the most difficult. Could you share with us which was perhaps the most painful before today's great announcement and yesterday's great announcement?
I've got to unmute. The delays seemed endless. We thought we were going to get a decision in January. That was the second trimester, actually. But then we were certain that we were going to get an answer in April when the council met. And they kicked that can down the road to May, and then they kicked that can down the road to June. And it wasn't until we finally got resolution in July. So it was a painful and seemingly endless process, when every time we talked about it, there seemed to be complete understanding of the need for this to happen and to happen for St. Thomas, separate and apart from larger issues that were being sort of lumped into the conversation about a pathway for any Division III institution. St. Thomas is not any Division III institution. They had unique circumstances, and they are uniquely qualified to make the move to Division I. People acknowledge that, but sometimes bureaucracy gets in the way of good timing.
Thank you. And as a follow-up, all the sports at St. Thomas have found lots of success, but you had specifically mentioned just for football, how curious it was for you to hear about this team being so good that they're going to get kicked out of their conference. A scenario not many people get to see in their lifetime. Just how strange was that for you, for someone who's a commissioner of a league, to just hear this going on somewhere else?
I'll tell you how strange it is, and I'll give you one example. I had a conversation with someone in the Pioneer Football League who said, we can't take St. Thomas. They're going to be too good. So it might still haunt you.
Thank you, Don. We'll now move over to Dave Wright. Dave, your mic is now live.
Thank you. I have a question for Dr. Eston. Phil, the non-revenue sports like cross country, those sort of sports, are they going to be full scholarship sports in the summit, or is that a decision that still has to be made down the line?
Yeah, Dave, we're taking a look at what the scholarship offerings are across all of those sports. Working with Commissioner Duple, we've got a sense for what the average scholarship levels are across the Summit League, which has been really helpful. We want to make sure that we provide our sports with the resources they need to be competitive. But I'll also say that the University of St. Thomas does a fantastic job of awarding aid beyond athletically related aid for merit and need-based individuals as well. And so that's certainly a strong consideration as we think about the level of athletic aid that we offer all of our sports.
Just a follow-up question, when you were talking about facilities, you've talked about your hockey facilities. Is there going to be any look at, for example, sports like baseball and softball, which right now play on very small fields?
Dave, I think the same holds true. There aren't any requirements that indicate we need to make changes with our facilities, whether it's from a capacity standpoint or really anything else. However, we'll continue to assess where we are in the marketplace and And as we can from a financial standpoint and need to make some adjustments, we'll do so. And that will be done through the scope of student athlete experience, student athlete amenities, fan amenities, so that their experience is the very best that it can be. And of course, the opportunity for us to drive revenue where we need to capture revenues to help with some of these incremental expenses.
Thank you, Dave. At this point, we'll go to Eric Peterson. Eric, your mic is now live.
Yeah, this is a question for either Tom or Phil. The 5-year transition period, when does St. Thomas become eligible for postseason? Is it going to be the same for all sports, and how will they be integrated into Summit League postseasons?
Yes, they will begin the fall of 2021 in all of our schedules. We hope to put out 5-year schedules beginning that fall within all of our sports. It's a 5-year transition for this move. So you look at the fall of 26 as being the first time they're eligible for the team championships and postseason in the NCAA. They will be eligible for other opportunities for postseason in some other sports that aren't AQ from the Summit League. So they'll have that opportunity, but they'll compete regular season in all of the 19 championship sports beginning the fall of 2021.
And just to follow up, you talked about getting to 10 teams in some leagues, I guess. Are you looking at travel partners, or how does that help scheduling in maybe sports like volleyball and maybe basketball?
Yes, we'll have a travel partner for all our sports that have 10, men's and women's basketball and volleyball. We have some models already produced and ready to go. Again, we have 5-year schedules. We're hoping to get those out within the next 2 weeks for all of our sports. But we did consider travel and, in all of our schedules that we produce. That's the key. I think we have to be fiscally responsible, but also to try to get the right travel partners as well.
Thank you, Eric. Well, up next is Dom Izzo. Dom, your mic should be now live.
Thanks. Phil, I wanted to ask specifically on football and scheduling now that you have some openings. Have you had any conversations yet with the Dakota schools who'd be open to playing North Dakota State, North Dakota, South Dakota State, and how that process is starting to be worked out?
Yeah, Dom, we'll enjoy 8 conference games with the Pioneer Football League, and we'll have to find 3 additional non-conference games. And those non-conference games will be a combination of games with schools like the Dakota schools that you mentioned and some others. Certainly have started to explore what those schedules might look like. We've got a hustle to put together a 2021 schedule. There are not a lot of openings in 2021. We think that we're on a good path there, Dom. But certainly, I think at some point we'll be open to playing some of those Missouri Valley Football Conference schools, uniquely, which Patty Viverito also chairs as or serves as the commissioner for. And so I do look forward to filling our schedule with a few of those really nice regional competition opportunities as well.
I wanted to follow up with that, Phil, about the potential down the road. I know you're ecstatic about this, but potential of the Missouri Valley Football Conference and doing scholarship football, has that been addressed at all yet?
Yeah, Dom, we have not thought about that as we feel that the Pioneer Football League is really the right fit for us. As we think about who we are as an institution and making this move right now, this is the right fit for us at the University of St. Thomas. And so it's been really a place that we've been comfortable with.
Thank you, Dom. We'll go back to Jace Frederick. Jace, your mic is now live.
Hey, Phil, wondering, as you head into this transition, is the idea right now that you will allow all of your current head coaches the opportunity to lead their programs to the next level?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I think we've got some of the very best coaches in the country, Jace, at any level. And that doesn't just mean Division III. That, I've worked in this business for a long time. and they've put together successful programs, not simply because of a facility or some of the other tangibles that come with it. They put it together because they know how to coach and they know how to recruit and they know how to build their own culture. And so I think that they're all excited about the challenge, and I look forward to working with all of them on the transition.
And then as you remain a non-scholarship football program, is there any chance that you would continue playing with St. John's as one of those non-conference games, or is that kind of out the window?
Yeah, I'll say this, Jace. We're looking forward to the game with the Johnnies this year in US Bank Stadium. Bob Elpers has been fantastic in putting together what I think, hopefully, we have the opportunity to play this fall, what I think is going to be just really a fantastic experience. And then we'll think about the future from there, but we're really focused on the fall of 2020.
Thank you, Jace. Megan Ryan, you're back up. Megan, your mic is now live.
This is another follow-up actually for Julie, and it kind of goes back to that first question that I asked you about financial, and you kind of mentioned this, but I just wanted to ask another question about it. I'm kind of curious with St. Thomas right now. Obviously, everybody is kind of undergoing financial struggles right now, and when you said this is not a decision for right now, it's a decision for the future. In a way, did this kind of feel like this is something where we spend money now to make money later, like you got to spend money to make money thing? Or I guess I'm kind of curious, just like the ethos behind it.
Well, not exactly, Megan. We can pace our investment over this 5-year transition period, and we will pace that investment according to support that we have to support the investment, financial support. That financial support can come from a number of different sources. Clearly, philanthropy, it can come from some board restricted funds that have been designated for this purpose. It can clearly come from ticket sales, but we will pace the investment to with the sources that are available to us, and also prioritize the investment for where any investment can generate more revenue to support future investment.
Okay, thanks. And then just a follow-up to Phil. I know you were asked about the budget earlier and kind of what that would mean for you guys and how you would have to increase that. And you kind of put out that $20 million number, but said you're still looking. And I guess just vaguely, I don't need hard numbers, but from where your budget is now, is that looking at like doubling the budget or tripling the budget? Or I guess I'm just kind of, if you have any context for that would be helpful.
Sure, Megan. Our budget, like everybody else's, is available on the EADA website. And so several years ago, I think it was probably reported around $5 million. Again, I think you have to remember that as we make this move, in Division III, we don't offer athletically related aid. And so that is a number that then gets included in an athletics budget. And so it's not just an operational number or anything beyond operational expenses. So if that gives you a little bit of a sense of where that was 2 or 3 years ago compared to what we're projecting over the transition in the next several years.
Thank you, Megan. I do want to mention we have about 10 minutes or so left of our scheduled time for this press conference. So any last questions, please be sure to raise your hand. Also a good time to mention, which I did not at the top, this whole press conference is being recorded and we'll be sure to share with all of you as well, so you each have it. At this point, we'll go back to Jess Myers. Jess, your mic is live.
Hi, I have a question for Commissioner Flowers from the WCHA. Jennifer, we talked a little bit, but can you just go through the process of what was considered when you were talking about St. Thomas as a potential 8th member, and how the process worked of welcoming them to your league?
Certainly, I think much to Patty's point, it was certainly a process, but it was enjoyable from my end, other than maybe last month when we thought this news was coming a little sooner. But, Phil and I had some conversations about this time last year as I was transitioning into a new role, and as certainly St. Thomas was transitioning into looking at some different opportunities. And really, from my seat and from the WCHA standpoint, as Phil mentioned, it has to be a fit both ways. Certainly, we feel like St. Thomas brings something very unique to our league as a private school, as the market of St. Paul, as extending our footprint around the Twin Cities area, and brings a whole lot of value, not to mention they're a historically solid, very competitive women's hockey program. So from the WCHA standpoint, allowing St. Thomas the opportunity to apply, to go through our application process, to present, to share all of the things that we already felt like they were going to bring to the league, but then they were able to reiterate that. It's been in some ways it was a no-brainer. I think it's an absolute win-win for both of us. And our membership, our board voted unanimously back in April to offer extension of an invitation, and we've been patiently waiting for the opportunity to celebrate that invitation. And we're so excited. We're very proud. Obviously, to get us back to 8 members was huge. But as I mentioned in my press conference a year ago, it wasn't just any 8th member. It was an 8th member that was going to make the WCHA better. And we definitely got better with this announcement today.
And if I could have a follow-up for Dr. Eston, I just wanted to ask about your current men's hockey facility. Obviously, it's got a press box. It's got a lot of the things that most hockey arenas have. Capacity-wise, it would be one of the smaller arenas in Division I hockey. Is that something that you're talking about as far as being able to get more people into the building down the road when your program becomes more of an attraction, I guess, at the Division I level?
Yes, sure, Jess. The current capacity of the St. Thomas Ice Arena it's about 1,000. And I think that one of the nice things with that ice rink is the amenities that also come along with it. And so whether it's the dryland training facilities or the locker room amenities, and some of the ancillary facilities are really strong, and they've been great partners with us. As you know, there are some other facilities across the community that may offer slightly larger capacities, and on occasion we may compete in a game where we think we need something larger than that, and we might take a look at that. But much like I said earlier, we'll continue to assess what those options are. There isn't anything that's solidified right now. And so we are continuing to evaluate what the very best options are for all of our sports, not just hockey.
Thanks, Jess. Well, at this point, there are no more hands raised. So unless there are any last minute questions, certainly want to thank all of you for joining this morning. Certainly an exciting time for the institution, for the University of St. Thomas. And if there's anything else that you may need to follow up on, please be sure to reach out to Jean McGivern, our Director of Strategic Communications. But if there are no more questions, again, thank you for joining. And we look forward to pressing forward and roll times. Thanks, everybody.